Hello YouTubers! What we are going to do today is we're going to take some of the heat transfer paper, we're going to print on it and then put them on these wood circles. So these are just the blank craft unfinished wood circles, and I pressed on them with some heat transfer paper. So this has just been printed out of my regular inkjet printer and then applied with my heat press. Now let me go show you what you need and then we'll talk about some of the things to avoid. Alright, so this idea started out with these little wood canvas thingies. I've been wanting to put this Dachshund Design on one of these wood canvases for like ever. The design is from Libby. I will leave a link up in the description. But I've wanted to put a little mandala Dachshund on wood for quite a while. The struggle has been real. So for whatever reason, I can't get it to go with these wood canvases. I've tried and tried and it just kind of, I don't know why, long story short. And I also can't get them to go with the Easy Press. I got an Easy Press. The only way I can really get these to work is in my heat press. So, I mean, you are more than welcome to try and let me know in the comments if you got it to work. These obviously can't fit in a heat press. And I don't know if it's a time, temperature, or pressure thing with Easy Press. But basically, you're going to need a wood blank that is skinny enough to go in your heat press, but fat enough to keep its shape. I got these off Amazon, and I really like them because they seem a bit thicker than the original ones I had. So after the wood canvases didn't work, I went and I had these. I've had these, I have no idea how long, in the craft stash in the basement. They're from Hobby Lobby. But these from Amazon seem to hold up better. They're a little bit thicker. The ones from Hobby Lobby tend to warp a little bit after they come out of the heat press. This guy from Amazon tended to do better. But basically, you just need a blank. I got these from Hobby Lobby. I haven't played with them yet. Maybe we'll do a quick video on them. But, so Amazon, Hobby Lobby. But basically, you need a wood product that is fat enough to hold its shape, but skinny enough to go in your heat press. And then I've been using this Jet Pro. It's just, we're gonna print on the other side of it. So we're gonna mirror it and print it and flip it. And then you're gonna need your heat press to put it on with. And then I've just been using some regular parchment paper. Wax paper is not the same thing as parchment paper. This is parchment paper. And I've been using it to protect my heat press from the residue of this, so you're not getting like sticky stuff all over your heat press. Now, one thing I really particularly love about this is these are the same two designs, but radically different appearances. This I used bright colors, and it's got a watercolor fill in the background. This guy is a wood fill. And they're both wood fills for this guy, but same design, wildly different appearances. I also like, it gives you something to do with these watercolor designs that you see everywhere. I love the watercolor, but I mean, it's hard to cut. So, I mean, even trying to trace it to do a print and cut, it's tricky. You don't have to do any of this, we're just printing. So, it gives you something kind of do with this. So, I did a little tester block here. So, you're going to want to fill in any of your designs, because if you don't, it tends to bleed. So like this guy, I just filled in with another wood fill just so it didn't bleed. But see up here where I didn't, see how it bled? This guy was actually filled in with some color, and that's why it's not as much bleeding. But yeah, you will bleed. And I don't know if you can see, if you just have the regular paper, you will leave a bit of coating sheen there. So keep that in mind as well. So what I really recommend is a completely filled in circle to minimize bleeding and to give you kind of a full effect, to minimize bleeding and to minimize any of this weird stretchy thing. And you can see any of the patterns press really, really well on it. So also something to keep in mind is this is an inkjet printer, printable here. It's not meant to be outside, it's not to be in the sun. they'll probably fade really, really fast if you put it in direct sunlight. Also, if you're making an heirloom piece that needs to last, don't do this. Don't use this. This is something fun. It's cute. You can hang it up and then move on to something else when it kind of loses its luster a little bit. But I wouldn't make an antique that you need to keep forever and ever with it. It's just something kind of fun, a great present to give to neighbors, something kind of cute to hang up for a little bit, and then kind of move on to something else. Alright, so we are over in Silhouette Studio. Honestly, you could print this out of any program that you had, even if you had like Paint or something. But we're in Studio. My page setup is 8.5 by 11. That's how big our sheets are. They do make bigger sheets of Jet Pro. We're using the lights. You can't use the dark. The dark works differently. But we're using the lights. They do make bigger pieces of paper if you want to make a bigger sign. But keep that in mind when you're buying your wood. Your sheet's 8.5 by 11. So whatever you print has to fit on there. And this is our little Doxy. I just did file and import and brought him in. Now what I've been doing, and it has a fill in it, is drawing a circle. Yours won't have this fill in it. Mine does, just because this is the file I've been playing in. And our circles are 6 inches, so you're going to want to make this a little bit bigger. So we're going to go over here to transform in the scale window, and then I'm just making these 6.1. And then come up here and then make our fill none. So unfortunately it is a bit of a waste of paper with the size they are right now, but that's just kind of the way it works for this one. Now, there are fills in Silhouette Studio, but there's only a handful of them. You can buy them up in the Silhouette store. You can go to Etsy and I just typed in digital papers and got 55,000 results. Any of these digital papers will work. The watercolor papers, watercolor designs. I mean, any of these will work. You see this cool patina one? Any of these designs will work. All you have to do is do file and merge and bring them into Silhouette Studio, and they will print out just fine. So, but we're just going to use the ones from Studio. So I'm over here in my fill panel. You go over here to the dots. These are the fills that come in by default. This isn't a fill, this just means no fill. But all of these are in here by default. And then these are the wood grain ones. You even have like a barn wood somewhere in here, which is kind of cool. If you come down here more, you can change the angle. You can change the angle of the print, give it some more crazy looks. You can also change the scale, but sometimes it'll pixelate or kind of turn into boxes if you do that too. So keep that in mind. The other cool thing you can do is down here in effects. Image effects is you can change the colors. This is how you would also make like pictures black and white too. If you wanted to make it kind of weird and cool, stressed, whatever. Long story short, the sky is really the limit for these. And then this middle one is all of like the gradient fills. So, and then down here you can change the fill, change the width of the fill. You can also change the angle, and you can also mess with the transparency of it too. Alright, so I kind of always come back to this one. So with your circle clicked, you can, it's the dark wood here, and then not the transparency. I like to mess with the angle. It makes it look a little more natural. And then come and click your Doxy, and then I kind of like to put in another wood fill on top of it. But don't try to do anything too similar, or he's probably not going to show up. You can also go back and fill him in with a fill color if you wanted to. but I always end up going back to this one. So once you ungroup your design finally, so what I want to do is this guy, make him a little bit bigger, and then this love down here, I want to make, and then this love I want to make a little bit bigger. And then we want to flip horizontally, because when we print this, it's gonna print, we're gonna have to flip it. And then I know you probably can't tell, but there's a red line around our circle. So what I want to do is select all of it and go to the lines over here and click none. And then that'll get rid of any red lines that have come in our design. Now these are the ones I've played with. This was the J I showed you. These, and then this guy, I don't know if you can tell, but I subtracted him out. But I wouldn't recommend doing that just because I think you get more bleed that way. This way it all prints and there's ink everywhere. This was the watercolor one. This one was one of the wood fills that I ended up playing with the colors a lot. And it ended up with a pink one, and this was my tester one. So, but see, this is all the same design, a million different ways. So, let's go print this guy. And then we're gonna do file and print. I'm using my Canon Pixma, I guess is what it's called. And then I have my paper loaded in face up. You would need to double check, because you need to print on the white side of the paper, not the pattern side. And then and print. All right, so I just turned on my heat press to 375 for 15 seconds. This is what printed out. So this is the front, it doesn't have the pattern, and this is the back of my paper. You can get off Amazon. But see, we'll see what it looks like. So I recommend cutting around this, because anywhere that's white is going to want to activate in your heat press and stick to things. And in translation, cause a mess if you don't get rid of it. Yes, this is a bit wasteful, but it was made with what I had on hand. They do make bigger sheets of this paper. So if you have a bigger printer, or if you have a bigger sign you want to make, you can totally buy some. And so this is our circle from Amazon. And see, and I just made it a little bit bigger. That way, if it's off a little bit, you know, it's not the end of the world. But anywhere that's out here is going to activate under that heat press. So keep that in mind. And then we're going to go over to the heat press and sandwich it together. All right, so I'm over at my heat press. It's 375. Those are directions off of the Jet Pro. So I have my circle. So this is my parchment paper. I just have it in I got this at Kroger. It's a big thing of parchment. It just pops out. It's a great alternative to the Teflon sheets, which sometimes aren't the best. So see, you got a little circle, and I'm just going to place it face down. And then I like to put the Teflon on top just kind of to hold this in place. You don't actually really need it, but just to hold it in place. And we're going to close it for 15 seconds. And then you're going to want to peel it right away. It's a hot peel. And it does have a little bit of a smell to it. I don't know how to describe it, but it's got a bit of a smell. And you're going to want to let it sit for a minute, because when you first do it, it tends to be a bit sticky until it cools down. Also, if it does seem to get a little bit out of whack, you can flip it and then just press it real quick on the back, and that should flatten it out. If you get like a skinnier circle, or it's just not as quite as flat as it was, it should flatten it back out. But I would totally use the paper again. All right, so that is the one we just did. Kind of a cool little stained look. And I love, love, love that you can make relatively quickly all of these designs, and they look incredibly different, and it's really easy to do. I'm going to hot glue some ribbon on the back of this and hang them up in my basement for some little crafty decor down here. But this would be great for seasonal decor, or if you got smaller circles as like favors for Valentine's Day is coming up, or Christmas, or Halloween, or crap, I need to make a lot of something, gifts, things like that, because the paper is not that much and these aren't really that much, and you can make a lot of them really, really quickly. So, and they all can be personalized relatively quickly. So I hope you liked our video. If you have any questions, or if you magically know how to get the heat press to work, let me know down in the comments. And thanks for watching.